Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Leo, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of January 2024. I hope you are well. Happy New Year and all that sort of thing. I'm using the Tower of the Abyss for you today. Before the reading begins, if it resonates and you'd like to go a little bit deeper, there will be an extended that you can access at the end. That is link number 1 in the description box. Second link in the description box is to my private community, which is the Order of the Phoenix, over on the Circle platform. You can get access to all of the extended content for no extra cost over there and hang out with an extraordinary group of people. There's lots of things going on over there. So if that sounds like it's something that might be of interest to you, you know what to do with that. The third link is to 3-month overviews that I have done for each of the signs. I usually do 6 months, but I've cut it down to 3 months, and that's because I was looking at the astrology of April, and I think that we have a really important 3-month run up to it. And I think if I had done 6-month overview, the likelihood is we would have kind of skipped over the first 3 months to get to April, and I wanted to focus on that 3-month period there. So they run from obviously January to March 2023. Third link in the description box. Please do feel free to avail yourself of that if that's something of interest to you. So Leo, let's have a look and see what's going on with you. Could I have 3 cards for Leo, please? Let's have recent past first, please. Oh, there we go. A little pirouette. We have 7 of Wands. That's Mars in Leo, so probably quite an appropriate card. What about current energy? Whoa, okay. 3 of Pentacles. And what about what's coming towards Leo, please? Thank you. We have the 5 of Pentacles. Okay, well, let's not panic. We'll dig into this and have a look, see what's going on. We've got the 10 of Wands at the bottom of the deck. So it's fairly certain whatever you're doing, Leo, you feel like you're working pretty hard at the moment. So let's get some clarifiers out on the table and see what all of this is about. Tell me about the 7 of Wands, please, for Leo. Thank you. We have the 2 of Cups and 4 of Cups and the 6 of Swords. Tell me about the 3 of Pentacles. 4 of Pentacles in reverse. I like that positioning. That's very nice. And let's go. Oh, okay. We have the 5 of Wands and the 5 of Pentacles. Right. Okay, and the 5 of Pentacles. Why is this here for Leo, please? Thank you. Right, we have the World card reversed and the King of Cups showing up sideways, but we do have the 4 of Wands at the bottom of the deck, so it doesn't feel like all is lost here, but there is definitely something going on that we need to dig into. So we start off here with this. Oh, I've lost my little stick. I'll use my lighter, it'll be fine. We start off with the 7 of Wands, and like I said, that's Mars in Leo. And it's quite a combative energy, as you can tell from the picture that we've got going on here, right? Sometimes we talk about it in terms of it being a defensive energy, or guarded, and it can be being defensive as much as anything else. Or it can be protective. And I think which way round it is functioning depends very much on the perspective that you hold. Now, often we can feel like we're being protective when in fact we're being defensive. And I think that probably the penny has dropped in a few different ways for you, Leo, over the past wee while, that you may have been mistaking one for the other. We've got the 2 of Cups there and the 4 of Cups and the 6 of Swords. And I actually really like the positioning of all of this, because we have the intimacy of the 2 of Cups there. We have the fear of rejection and potential abandonment issues from the 4 of Cups, which would certainly lead us to a certain amount of what's the word that I'm looking for? It's just a lack of clarity between the two, right? The ability to be able to discern between the two. But we do have the 6 of Swords showing up here, which means somehow, some way, you have mentally got your head around what it is that you've been reacting to emotionally for the longest time. I mean, this is quite interesting because Well, quite simply, you can't work with something till you know that it's there. And I feel like a lot of Leos have not realised that it was there. You know, the energy of needing to fight all things on all fronts all the time is something that I associate quite strongly with the Seven of Wands, and particularly as it's showing up in this reading here. And, you know, it's not going to be true for all of you, but I just want to absolutely assure you that that is a symptom of CPTSD. It's living in a survival state rather than thriving. And particularly with regard to relationships, those of a deeper nature than just people that you say hello to on the street. You know, the fear of rejection is pretty strong here. We could be talking to an avoidant attachment style and recognizing that that's what's going on here. But I think overall, the meaning of fighting on all different fronts, all different battles, and having to try and give it your all. The discernment that comes with the Six of Swords is recognizing that we've been in that state and cherry picking more intelligently, I guess. Intelligently is not the right word. I guess with more self-awareness is probably what I'm going to go for here. Because it's not a matter of intelligence versus a lack of intelligence. It's survival mode versus I am aware that I am strong enough to deal with whatever comes up, and therefore I'm not going to worry too much when things come up that are in some way personally confrontational for me. I mean, this is a huge leap forward. And I have to say, I recognised that energy right there, because that's exactly what I discovered about myself in the last part of December, right? So sort of the last half of December 2023. We can't deal with something until we recognise that it's there, and often we don't recognise that it's there until we're pushed to such a point that we can't screen it out anymore. I think that's where I want to go with this one. We see that Ten of Wands there, which is a card of burden and a card of, you know, working too hard. We can definitely see how this would relate to the situation here, although I feel like it's got some additional meanings moving forward. So huge strides made in this area of life, recognizing our emotional responses, and particularly with our, you know, in our interactions and relationships with other people, and how very important that is. I had a conversation with a client of mine recently, and we were talking about just, you know, how damaging this kind of energy can be because of how much you project onto the world as a result, and the idea that it is our responsibility and our duty to make sure that we are not doing this and creating an absolute shitstorm, not just for ourselves but for other people as well. I think it's really a huge part of being an evolved adult in 2024. I don't want to mess about there with that one. So we move into your current energy, and we've got the Three of Pentacles. Lovely card, speaks of cooperation and collaboration, and I feel like this is something that Leo takes very seriously. And it's here with the Three of Pentacles, which is absolutely the Four of Pentacles, beg your pardon, which is outstanding, because in its upright, the Four of Pentacles can talk about either understanding the value of something that must be held on to, or it's holding on to something too hard so that it doesn't get a chance to flow, right? When you put it in the reverse, it simply means to me release. And we're releasing whatever it is that was stopping us from working in the fullest extent that we are able with other people. Now, if you relate this back to what's going on here, the pervading feeling of this card here is almost like a sense of powerlessness. You've got to come out swinging on every single situation, because we're like cornered cats, right? Hissing and spitting and claws out and everything. It's not necessary. I think that's what we're starting to see. And in order for, you know, what we consider to have value to be something that we can work on with other people in terms of building and creating and all that sort of thing. It's necessary for us to drop this, which we have, because we see it here in the Six of Swords, and start investing rather than fighting. Now, I want to get another, let's just get this John Bauer from over here. Because these two double fives, they give me pause. First and foremost, because the fives represent instability of some description, right? And we don't just have these two here, we've also got this one here. Now, this could be instability in terms of your financial resources, that Five of Pentacles there. I mean, honestly, I read that card as any kind of poverty, and that can be as much emotional or energetic poverty as anything else. I mean, put these two cards together and it could be a state of exhaustion. We've got this Five of Wands though, and that's generally involving conflict. Now, that can be conflict with other people, or it can be conflict within ourselves. I think the higher position to take on that card is recognizing that any kind of conflict that we have outside of ourselves is in some way representative of an internal conflict that we're having in some way or another. Because if we've really got a handle on this and we're really working towards this, then the likelihood of us coming into conflict with people is probably considerably less than it might be otherwise. But I want to pull the John Bauer out here and get a couple of cards, because the Five of Pentacles can be a fear of poverty, a fear of lack, a fear of not having enough, not being enough, working ourselves to the bone to try and validate ourselves. And I don't think that that's something that Leo needs to do, but let's have a look. Tell me about this Five of Wands. Why is this here? Oh goodness, Sun is in reverse. Now, that's your card, and it's still incredibly positive when it shows up, even if it's in the reverse. But it does feel like the Sun energy is blocked here for you in the current moment. Why? There's Five of Wands here. Ace of Pentacles. Could it be there's a level of frustration going on with you? I think so. I think this is what it is, Leo, right? There's some sort of promise of a new start. But this promise of the new start's been here for fucking ages. And it has seemed very much like you take one step forwards and then you take 3/4 of a step back, and so on and so forth. It's like you're moving in the right direction, but it is unfathomably slow. Five of Cups, Seven of Wands. And it's like the biggest issue seems to be the fight that you've got to stop yourself from sliding into old patterns of thinking about things. I mean, you're trying to be bright, you're trying to be sunny, but everything's slow. And there are still external pressures. There are still things that you're fighting outside of yourself. And we've got the Seven of Cups at the bottom of the deck here. And I'm not sure off the top of my head, but I do feel like I read somewhere that Mars is squaring Neptune and will be for some considerable part of January, or some part of January at least. And I wonder if this is what the issue is here, right? It's that constant state of trying to remain positive, remain optimistic, and yet it seems everything outside of you is almost conspiring to keep you static. In some ways, I feel like these fives are actually a desperate desire for a shifting of the status quo, and not least because the energy that you're in right now is a state of endurance more than anything else. Now, to be fair, you're fixed fire. That's sort of what you're built for. But the instability seems to be happening in a way that you don't want, rather than in a way that you're yearning for. So that Five of Cups is there as well now. You know, fives are shifty, shaky ground. Things are shifting around. Things are Things are difficult. What you're trying to do is maintain your center, maintain your balance, maintain your stability, actually, right the way through this, as movement happens, but not where you want it to, not in the way that you want it to. Yeah, we've got the King of Cups and the World. This desperate desire to move to the conclusion of the end of this particular cycle of your life, whilst also keeping all of your emotional faculties intact. And it feels like it's really testing you, Leo. I get an incredibly overwhelming sense of frustration here. I guess my advice to you would be resist the urge to burn everything down, because that feels like the energy that you're in at the moment. It's like some days are okay. Other days you're like, fuck's sake, I'm just gonna firebomb that thing over there, to torch that thing over there. I'm just gonna burn it all to the ground, because then at least something will have changed, something will have moved. That's not a good idea this month, because I think for whatever reason you're not seeing things as clearly as you could do. And then we move on to January, where we have the Five of Pentacles, the World in reverse, and the King of Cups showing up sideways. I think if you have been anticipating some sort of delay or some sort of frustration incoming, I think you're absolutely correct. It's happening. And I say this because we've got the Five of Pentacles. Having had it already show up here, we've got it here too. And then we've got the World in reverse, right? The very thing that you want is to just get out of this cycle and start your new one. And yet we have a blockage, we have a delay, we have some sort of obstacle happening here for you in the World card. And don't forget that you are on the World card, right? It's a card of Saturn. And it covers Leo, Aquarius, Scorpio, and Taurus. There we go. Forgot the other fixed sign for a second. And because it's a Saturn-ruled card, what we've got is those, previous Saturnian influences, such as, I don't know, the devil and whatnot. But we've got associated with that, long-term plans. The state of frustrations and delays and having to go back and do things again and again and again, go over old ground till you really learn the lesson. And then, right at the very end, when you have learned the lesson, then Saturn will allow you to progress, right? Which is what we want. This is what you're after. Saturn says, no, we're not there yet. And I do think it's because there are some things that are yet to play out, Leo. I think that you've learned beautifully all of the lessons that have been laid out in front of you so far. And whatever this frustration relates to, I wouldn't be surprised if we're sitting at, a good year that this has been the case. It's not that you haven't learned something well enough or that you have to go back and do it again. It's just that it feels like it's running deeper and there are more things that the universe is trying to expose you to ahead of time before this cycle is complete. From where we're standing, it's like, this should be done now. Problem is, Saturn's looking down on it and going, you've got these little gnarly bits to get through here first, right? And we've got the King of Cups showing up sideways. It does feel like it is knocking your emotional well-being, because everything should just be tying up now. That's how it feels, right? And it's not happening. Hence, the Ten of Wands. Now, is that Saturn in Sagittarius? I can't remember. I think it might be. We've got the Four of Wands at the bottom of the deck, right? What you're desperate to do more than anything else is create a new foundation for yourself, right? You want to be able to, and this is important, I think, you want to be able to express creative energy in some way or another. And I mean, by creative, I mean the opposite of destructive. Not necessarily that you're going to want to paint a canvas or anything like that. It's like, no, I want to go about the act of creating a new life for myself. And everything here seems to be focusing on the ending. And the ending is a goalpost that keeps getting shoved back. Every time you reach it, you're like, I've reached the checkered flag. And it's like, oh no, actually, just while you blinked there, it got moved 50 feet further back. You've got to keep moving, got to keep going. And you're like, fuck me. My back is breaking already. When does this end? When will it ever fucking end? Tell me about the World card in reverse, please. Oh, Lord. We have the Two of Wands. We have the Seven of Pentacles. There's a lot of cards here. We've got the Four of Pentacles, Six of Swords, and the Four of Wands again. So here's my here's my interpretation, Leo. Something coming in. There is something coming in that you are not currently aware of, you are not currently privy to. We've got the Eight of Wands at the bottom of the deck. Now, this card speaks to me about an increase in momentum. It speaks about things starting to speed up, and that's what we've been hankering for a while. But I feel like if we just look at the imagery on that card for a second, there's a storm coming, Leo, and I'm not sure that speeding up towards the storm is exactly what you wanted, but it looks to me like it's probably what you're going to get. The other interpretation of the Eight of Wands is news. It is incoming communication of some sort. And, you know, when you've got this kind of imagery going on here, the temptation would be to batten down the hatches, but I think this is something that you're going to have to face head on. Because I think that there's some sort of change of plan that is in the offing here, right? We've got the Two of Wands and the Seven of Pentacles. The Seven of Pentacles feels like a place that you are arriving at in January, where you realise that some aspect of your plan is simply just not going to work the way that you wanted it to, and something is going to need to be adjusted as a result. That Two of Wands there is like, well, fuck. I need to make a decision. I need to do something. Which way am I going to go? Because I need to fix whatever it is that I have just learned about that has thrown a massive spanner in my works. We've got the Four of Pentacles showing up there again. We've got the Six of Swords, and we've got the Four of Wands. And I hate to say this, but there's a cost. I mean, there's always a cost, Leo. But there is something here that you are being asked to let go of so that you can leave and head towards the foundation that you actually want, right? These two Four cards, Four of Pentacles, Four of Wands, are foundational cards. One of them is going to keep you static. The other one is going to take you where you need to go, where you want to go, right? Where all the creative, abundant energy is. But you don't get to move between them without picking up a few injuries on the way. I mean, I love this card so much because the really important detail on this card, I think, is the bloodied footprints that she's leaving in the snow. You know? We've got the movement. The movement is good, but there are wounds here associated with it, which means there is a cost. Something needs to be paid for here, Leo, in order that you be able to move on. And I really do feel like this is going to be challenging you quite hard emotionally over the course of January, because I think there's something quite unexpected about this twist that's coming in. Because it's interesting how little major arcana there is on the table here for you. Let me just have a look for a second. It's all been the World. Am I right there? I am right there. We've got the Sun card reversed. We're showing up. We're still trying to be positive. Everything's going to work. We're being Leo, right? Being the fucking Sun. But being the Sun in a somewhat disempowered state, because you're working so hard and you've got fears about whether this is actually going to play out or not. Let's actually say that's Saturn in Leo there. There's a lot of Saturn all over this reading for you. But I would not be surprised in the extended if we end up seeing the Tower card coming out here somewhere, because, like I said, I don't think this is anywhere where you fucked up, Leo. I think that there's something in motion, there's something that's playing out here, and you have not actually had an opportunity to work through it all yet. You want that, you've got that. You want this, you're going to be paying for it with the Six of Swords. So this has piqued my interest quite a lot. I'm going to go and do the extended now. You can join me on Vimeo or you can join me on Circle, whichever you like. It's entirely up to you. If neither of those float your boat, that's absolutely fine. No problem at all. Just know that it's not smooth running from here, Leo. There's more stuff to do, and it's going to set you free, but first it's going to piss you off to mutilate that quote from the Bible. So you should be prepared for that. And if you can keep your sunny disposition as much as humanly possible, which is not necessarily slapping a smile on your face while you're dealing with all this stuff, but understanding that each little frustration that's coming up here is another thing that is resolved, that is getting you closer to the end that Saturn wants for you, and then is releasing you in the way that the universe wants you to be released. Then you can at least try and keep that little sun shining inside here, if nowhere else, All right, I'm going to leave it there. Know that I love you all very, very much, and I'll see you soon.